Mind Gap Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I'm Doug.
I'm Justin.
And we're glad you're here. We're so glad you're here.
I'm thrilled.
Me too. I mean, I'm in a weird state right now because
Illinois?
you might say I'm in a safe state.
I was going to say, you are in the one of the prime states.
For now. We'll see.
Yes.
More on that in a second. But I'm about to go on vacation, so I'm in a weird headspace. I literally told Justin, I totally forgot that we had a podcast tonight. I was cooking dinner. I was like, "Hey, Natalie, after dinner, let's go to a playground." And I was like, "Wait, no, I have to do a podcast. Never mind." Like, my schedule, my mind calendar is like all sorts of fucked up right now.
Doug usually sends me about 15 to 20 minutes before we start. He sends me the link to jump into the room that we use, and it was 5 till. And I started messaging him like, "Hey man, you got that link?"
Yeah.
Because I'm like, Doug's usually not 5 minutes up until the point. That's very unlike. So I'm like, something horrible has happened to Doug.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, let's because I've also had just some. We'll get into it in a little bit, but I've just had some mind-numbing days at work as well, so I've been kind of out of it. So anyway, super fucking pumped to be here. I'm here to be glad to be talking to you. I'm so glad you all are here in the chat. This is gonna be good. We're going to have a good time. Let's get this fucking housekeeping out of the way, all right? This is new Doug, non-corporate Doug, says Slotty. Hey, exactly. Let me guys tell you how the real world works, all right? Grab a knee, all right? Grab a knee and let's talk this out. Here we go. This is Freelance Doug. I wish this was Freelance Doug. All right, housekeeping. Here we go. Gang, you know the drill. If you love us, rate and review, subscribe, like, and share. That's really what it boils down to. It costs you nothing. Help us out. The cost of listening to us is a share. Share us. Please. Please share us and
this
rate
is where
and
I need
review.
To get 0.7 seconds of Through the Eyes of an Angel.
Yeah.
It just please share us if you care.
Yeah.
Through the eyes of an angel.
Yeah, seriously, it honestly, if you guys could do us a solid and just share this around with one person, honestly. Right. We are at 196 subscribers. We're so close on YouTube.
I tried to game it. I tried to game the system and YouTube told me no thank you.
I'm pretty sure the system was like, nah, because all your fake accounts were like, reject. It was like, nah.
All real accounts.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
They're very real
like
accounts.
Real Gone Cat 10?
Yeah, that was my original production company.
I remember Real Gone Cat. Yeah. I was like, why does that sound familiar? You know?
Yes.
Yeah, and also engage. Post engagement. You know, write a comment. Tell us your thoughts. Actually, we had some really cool random people who caught an older throwdown between Paddington and Winnie the Pooh, and they were like, they had some valid things to say about that thread. And I was like, hey, thanks for the post.
I'll say this, something else I learned from Slotty is that if you're going to share us out, hit that share button on the YouTube player. Copy the link or click the Twitter icon, and I'm fairly certain that does something.
It does something.
Yep.
Yeah, no, well, honestly, in all seriousness, thanks to everyone who listens, who comes into the chat, who downloads our stuff. Honestly, you're the fucking best. This podcast is awesome. I love doing this with Justin, and I love being able to talk to people about stuff. It makes me so happy. So thank you for your continued support, and just share us around and engage with our stuff. We fucking love you. That's all I want to say. If you feel like contributing to our Patreon, patreon.com/mindgappodcast. If you'd like to pick up some merch, redbubble.com. Enter the code. Enter Mind Gap Podcast in the search bar. Pick yourself up something nice. And don't forget, we live stream on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Central for the podcast. And I host a video game stream on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Central. There will be no video game stream this Saturday on July the 2nd, as I will be out of town on vacation. But normally every Saturday, we've got that going on. Had a really great time last Saturday with Slotty and I did a co-op tower defense game. We did Orcs Must Die 3. Had a fucking blast. That game is way more fun with another person. We whooped that game's ass. That was so much fun. We're going to have to do that again. So come check us out for all that stuff. And don't forget, we're all going to watch Noah stream Overwatch 2. Awesome! Yes! Yes! Hell, I'll see if I can try to tune in for that. That's going to be really dope, man. I'm assuming that's the beta that they've got going out there. The beta for Overwatch 2. That's fucking cool. Go check out at Noah Reno at Twitch. That'll be a cool stream. Super excited for that. Anyway, that's housekeeping. Also, one other small thing. Check out our Discord. Head down to the description, the link in the description below on YouTube. Join our merry band of misfits and come hang out with us. We're a good crew. You got cool people like Zinni, like Wolfslore, like Noah, like Slotty, like you got Tint, you got Jared. You got all sorts of cool cats in there. Come hang out with us. We'd love to see you. All right, that's housekeeping. It's done. It's out of the way.
It's done.
Done.
Doug, I would ask how your week was, as we typically do at the top of the show, but the week's been a hellscape.
Not been a good week. I'll say this. Let me back up just a little bit. I had a great time with my daughter Friday night. It was movie night. I didn't know what to do, so I was like, you know what? We're going to watch Harry Potter, starting with the first one, and we're just going to watch. We haven't watched all of them yet, because I figured they were going to get scary for her, but I'm like, if you can watch Jurassic World Dominion, then you can watch Harry Potter fight Voldemort. It's going to be fun.
That makes sense.
So I was like, starting with the first one. We're going to go in and do that, and she's like, Dad, does this one have spiders? I'm like, no, that's a different one. She's like, Dad, does this one have snakes? I'm like, no, it's a different one. Dad, does this one have the shadow creatures that suck the happiness out of you? I'm like, no, that's a different one. This one has a troll in the dungeon. Now watch the fucking movie. That wasn't actually verbatim, but it was. She did ask me those things. I
imagine that's how it went.
She did not like the spider part in the second movie in Chamber of Secrets at all. She does not enjoy it, which I'm like, hey, I get it. But
what's funny is that it's hard to. I have to, in stories like this or in instances like this, I have to put my almost 39-year-old brain into that of a 6-year-old and go, what does this CG look like? Because in my mind, I'm looking at it and going, well, that's dated CG, and it's good, but it's dated and it whatever. But for a 6-year-old's perspective, I have to imagine it is the thing of nightmare fuel. Like that is just grotesquely terrifying.
Well, it's funny because she just recently watched Return of the King, and that has a giant spider Shelob in it. She didn't seem to have a problem with that. I was like, listen, this part, if it gets scary, let me know. She was cool with it. But when we watched The Hobbit, there's a part where they go into the Mirkwood Forest and there's a bunch of spiders. We had to skip a large portion of that because she was not cool with that one.
Does Shelob?
Shelob.
Whatever. Does the spider CeeLo Green have an entourage rolling with her, or is it just
her?
CeeLo?
Just one big spider.
See, I think that's what it is.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
It's the squad, the spider squad that kind of,
because you can keep your eye on one spider, but when you got spiders flanking you,
yeah, when they just kind of swarm, it's kind of unsettling to say the least.
That's not good for anybody.
Yeah. So, and I realized just how much I don't enjoy the first movie. It is just such a child's movie, and I'm like, this is fine. We'll get through it, but to me, I'm like, there's better stuff coming. So, but fine, it's okay. It's like we'll watch more of that. Sunday, the carnival was in town, which Natalie loves. We have so much fun.
Have a run-in with your guy again?
What do you mean a run-in with my guy?
The kid that ruined the
carnival. That kid was the place. That was with Sam. All right. That was with Sam a couple years ago at a different suburb. And fuck that kid.
I'm just saying, I have wanted so badly.
When you said that, I was like, he better not be referencing that little shit.
I've wanted for you two to have a rematch so badly.
For anyone who doesn't know, a couple years ago, Jill and I went with Sam, who you've known from the Dungeon Carrions and some other podcast episodes. We went to this like German festival, and there was just this kid that was annoying the shit out of me. Like he was so, I don't remember all the details, but I was just like, I wanted to kick this kid in the face. It was something with a bouncy house. He was super fucking annoying. I was just like, whose kid is this? Take this kid away.
Fist bump you? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like looking for a fist bump, and he was super obnoxious. I don't know. It was really bad. But yeah, Justin likes to bring that up, and it just immediately sends me into a rage, even though I don't remember all the details, because fuck that kid. Fuck him twice. But yeah, we had the carnival. It was so much fun. I love it because I wish I grew up with a carnival like that in my hometown. They've got the people that work the carnival are so nice. Like they're so kind. The rides are fun. They've got your typical carnival food, but they also have local food trucks and stuff there too. And it's just it's so much fun. Like she had such a blast. Slotty goes, yeah, it's Doug. There was this annoying kid. I don't remember the details. I blacked out for a bit. The cops came. Either way, it was a terrible German festival. Or was it a great German festival? Slotty.
Right. Or was it the most German of all German festivals?
If you're not punching a kid, it's not a German festival.
Right. If you don't black out from child abuse, who knows?
Who knows? Where's the pickle?
Where's the pickle? Find it!
Oh, Christmas is cancelled.
Oh, Christmas is cancelled. Find the pickle!
I missed that. That's one of my favorite moments as a deep cut. Deep cut. So, aside from that, great moments that were I was really trying to focus hard on. I'm going to say that again. I was focusing hard on because we don't normally talk about this, gang, but I feel like in the subject in order to be honest with ourselves, Justin and I are finally decided to say our Supreme Court sucks, gang. Our
bunch of knuckle dragging idiots.
Our Supreme Court,
at least 6 of them,
blows, man. It is this. If you haven't paid attention, or if you're not from America, congratulations. We have a fucking group of folks that I didn't vote for, that nobody voted for, that were appointed, that are passing extremely stupid and inconsistent rulings on things and are dismantling several freedoms in our country. And it's absolutely driving me batshit crazy to the point where I could barely fucking concentrate at work on Friday when they reversed Roe v. Wade. If you don't know what that is, it essentially means that abortion protections on a federal level have been removed. And I was in the middle of a morale event at work, and God bless them, they were trying their best. Actually, I want to give credit to the head of my line of business for my train team. They called it out right at the beginning. They're like, listen, I just want to reiterate, we have all these employee assistance programs. This is happening. If you need to talk to somebody, we have stuff that's available for you. You know, I know this is going on, and I appreciate them calling it out.
Was this a morale meeting for that?
No.
Because of that? Or was
this was like a quarterly event where everyone gets together.
It just happened to line up.
Terrible timing is what it was.
Yeah.
Terrible timing. Yeah. And here we are playing this game where it was like, hot takes. What is our limes the fruit of the summer? Vote yes or no. And I was just like, I can't do this, man. I just can't do
None
this.
Of this matters.
I kind of suffered through it, and then they're like, all right, now we're going to build our own fictional theme parks. And I'm like, I'm out. And I just clicked out of the meeting, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I just can't do this. I'm fucking infuriated. I'm absolutely infuriated because it's also been several other rulings on gun control, on fucking religious freedoms at public schools.
The Supreme Court had a field day last week, and the weeks leading up to it. They sat down and made a meal out of it.
Yeah,
they really did. Yeah,
it's brutal just because these are things. It's interesting too, getting Jill's perspective, because Jill's in HR, and she's like, you have no idea what this is going to do to HR people across this country. Like,
oh, I can't even begin to imagine
the amount of shit that people have to wade through is unbelievable, as each state is now going to have their own sorts of things, and it is a complete fucking nightmare. And my organization, I'm proud to say that they were prepared for this, that the day that this happened, they were like, this is part of our benefits now. We're going to offer a certain amount of money if you need to travel to some place to have an abortion. They were fucking all over it, and I'm super proud of them and their preparation for it. They were ready to go. But Jill made a really interesting point in that our federal government is failing us so bad that we have to turn to corporate America to help us with our daily lives, in terms of obviously our salary, but also our health benefits, in order to get maternity and paternity leave. Like, we have to rely on the corporations to do this. And now we're going to have to rely on, hopefully, certain corporate entities to allow us access to abortion. Like, this is not who we want to hitch our wagon to, gang. This is not what we want to do. Like, we were becoming more and more reliant on our employers to provide us with the basic necessities that our federal government won't even cover.
Yeah. I mean, if capitalism wasn't already, ingrained into the fiber of our national DNA, this just solidifies the necessity for corporations and the way that they operate. We're getting into this really weird tangled web of just kind of grossness.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and Saudi, mentioned another point too, is that Clarence Thomas has tried to promise even more to come, like potentially, banning contraception, same-sex marriages, like it's super gross. It's super duper gross. And the Roe v. Wade thing really upsets me. It hits close to home because Jill and I tried very hard to have a second child. And in that process, Jill had an ectopic pregnancy, which means there was an egg in her fallopian tubes that was fertilized, but it was lodged in there. And essentially, she had to have an abortion to remove it, because otherwise it would grow and it would burst and she could have severe damage and could potentially die. And I remember when this happened, because it was late at night, like 10 o'clock at night. Natalie was 2 years old, maybe, tops. Mm-hmm. And because Jill had called because she had some bleeding, and called the doctor, and the doctor was like, yeah, this is what this is. You have to come in here right now. Like, you can't wait. You have to come in here immediately. So at like 10:30 at night, Jill, devastated, had to leave and go by herself to have this done. And I could not go with her. Like, I couldn't. And it broke my heart to be like, I'm sorry, because I can't wake up my daughter to go with you to this appointment. It's just, I can't do it. So I had to stay behind while she went by herself. Bravely to go get this thing done. And I just keep thinking, what if we lived in a place where it was like, no, you can't do that. It's like, I'm sorry, what?
What if she had to travel 700 miles?
Right.
Or had to, and put herself up in the, and heaven forbid, again, like and if you live in this country, you've heard people speaking ad nauseum about all the different ways that this affects people, and disproportionately affects, women of color and those under the median income and poor families. And like, there's so much. And at the end of the day, and this is where the debate, again, if you're not from America, we're kind of laying this out for you to understand. This is where the debate really sits, this is a larger issue of healthcare for women. Whereas some people are painting it as, the right to life, and it is completely ignoring the right to the woman's life, or and I don't even want to, I struggle saying woman now because of the whole gender thing. So those who can bear children's rights to healthcare, like that is what this really comes down to, because things exactly like you're saying, like ectopic pregnancy and so many other things. If you're forced to carry to term or forced to carry through, this could absolutely kill the mother. And the mother at that point, the mother is the host for this. Like, the mother is alive. The mother is here and has a life. And if something should happen, and we even talked about last night, those who maybe someone loses the fetus during the pregnancy, they're forced to carry to what would be term and deliver a stillbirth, deliver an already deceased baby. The mental scarring that goes through that, the emotional toll. And I understand that we're two cis white males who are talking about this, but I think in this time, I do think it's important that everybody is talking about it. I think it needs to, like, the cis white male community has for a long time been not a great community. And I think we need to voice, we need to put our voices out there for some sort of semblance of good. Yeah. And so that's why we're talking about how fucked up this decision is.
Well, the thing is, I'll never know what it's like to carry a child. I'll never know what it's like to have to go and get an abortion. And From what I can, talk to from Jill to hear from her experience, her perspective, I wish she was here to give it, but I feel like I could do her justice by saying this, is that abortions are awesome. No, it's that no one enjoys getting an abortion. Her contention is that no one goes in there like, yippee skippy, right, let's do this. It's an incredibly devastating thing to do. And for me is just that there should always be an option for this. It's the choice should be there. And to tell someone that, no, you cannot, and under any circumstance, you have to, this pregnancy has to take place. You have no other option, is bullshit. It's absolute and utter bullshit because it's not consistent across the board. If we lived in a country that had universal health care, that had universal child care, that allowed maternity leave for up to a year. I saw a study today from, I think, one of the pediatric organizations that said breastfeeding for up to a year is the preferred thing, because it gives children the nutrients they need. It helps reduce obesity. It helps give them all these things they need. Jill told me today, she goes, I got 12 weeks off from work. 12 weeks. She goes, that was not, and she got a couple extra weeks finagled in just so we could get Natalie to daycare. And she goes, that was not enough. She goes, I was not ready to hand my child off to someone else and go to work.
Right. Absolutely.
And it's,
you look at somebody like Sweden that offers both men and the fathers get a year's paternity leave.
My brother-in-law, they were based in Germany. He got a whole year for both of his sons. Just He got, I think it was like 60 or 70% pay for a year. He got to stay home for an entire year with his kids. And it's you don't realize how important that is until you have a fucking kid. Especially like everyone has a different experience. Jill and I didn't have family assistance. We just lived far away from our families, and we just did it. We did what we could, we and Jill also just didn't trust babysitters. So we just, we didn't know anybody. We didn't have a good connection. She's like, nah, I can't do it. I just can't hand Natalie over to a stranger. Even if they're vetted, I just can't do it. I'm like, hey, whatever. It's fine. I'm cool with it. And so that's kind of what we did. But, it's insane because if we had those things in place and then you were like still dismantling this, I would still be pissed. But I'd be like, at least we have these foundations. At least we have these things in place, these institutions in place to help people with this. But now what you're telling them is like, have the baby. That's the only thing that matters. And tough shit after the fact. Because the thing is, the guilt, the judgment still exists after the fact. And, people are, because I hear the people is like, well, just abstinence always works. Go fuck yourself. Listen, sex is a natural thing that people can do. Okay. And guess what? It takes two people to do it. All right. Yeah.
You want abstinence? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It takes two people to do this, gang. It takes two people. And the people aren't getting pregnant on their own, gang. Also, who knows what this does for in vitro fertilization, right? Because you take several eggs, try to fertilize them and see what happens. Like, this throws everything into utter chaos without any thought behind how it will affect people. And also, I just disagree with their logic. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a goddamn spaceman. But I can tell you, when you cherry pick shit from this goddamn constitutional doctrine or this idea of like, well, I mean, you got to look at this from the year 1776. You mean when people were enslaved and women didn't have rights? Right. That's the perspective we're looking at here.
It's these constitutional purists that drive me up a fucking wall. It's those that supposedly hold this document from 250, however fucking old this country is, hold this document, to the highest degree, and it should be followed to the letter. But then again, you're cherry picking, because if you want that, you just passed these sweeping the concealed carry laws, the Supreme Court just passed on this federal gun regulation. And if you want to follow it to the letter, if you want to be a constitutional purist, then your right to bear arms stops. It begins and ends at a musket. And that's it. You don't get AR-15s. You can't conceal a handgun, semi-automatic, whatever, in your fucking
no
belt.
AR-15s, baby.
No AR-15s, no hand. Like, you get a musket. Congratulations. You can have 70 of them. Great. Good on you.
Yeah.
But again, we want all of our guns and we want this, but we also want to take away the woman's, like, it's this, it's exactly what you said. It's this cherry picking mentality, which is absolute and utter fucking nonsense. It's absolute nonsense.
The core of it for me is that I will be naive and say that I trusted in our governmental institutions probably way longer than I should have.
Right.
I grew up believing in majority rules. I grew up believing that we had checks and balances in our government. In my adult life, I see that is not the case. And when I see 3 judges rammed in by one president,
right,
who then lied under oath in their confirmation hearings about what they would and wouldn't do, and then all of a sudden, drastic changes have taken place.
A president, mind you, that lost the popular vote twice.
Yes.
Was impeached twice.
Yes.
And led an insurrection.
Yes. So
that should disqualify anyone that he
and
appointed.
These judges have no term limits. They're there for life. And so I look at this.
This is about sweeping term limits.
Yes.
Sweeping term across the board. It does not matter what political office you hold.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be term limits on every single office. And I understand some of the people on the other side are going to go, well, it's going to fuck you down the road. I don't care. That's fine. You know what? It won't fuck me down the road because how many people at 80 are still employable?
Right.
Do you have a lot of 80-year-olds at your work, Doug?
Nope.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Nothing against octogenarians. Nothing against them. A lot of them are lovely people, and I would love to sit and listen to stories from back in the day. The
My
door
dog
just flew open, and
my dog just decided she wanted to come in for the podcast.
Exactly.
Are you gonna sit here for the podcast, puppy dog?
But anyway, I mean, look, again, people of a certain age still can be wonderful people, but we've talked about this. Views can change. Views morph, and it's really hard, even at our age, at 39, you're 39, I'm almost 39. Even at our age, you can see how our mindsets have solidified in certain things, and it's hard for us to stay current with new opinions and new trends and new things that are happening in the social landscape. We do our best, I think, to do that, but we have to work at it. You put someone who's in their 80s and they're making laws still, that's very problematic.
Well, it's also, there's a big difference between 1776, 1876, and 1976 and 2022. The amount of change and evolution and modernization that happened from 1776 to 1876 was significant, but still we were like, most of the stuff still applies. You get to 1976, there's a drastic difference between that.
Doug, in 1900 to 1920, the leaps that we made in home construction were insane. Mm-hmm. And that's just in one very small field.
Yeah.
I'm learning about this a lot right now.
Mm-hmm.
And in 20 years, we came light years. So you're talking in 200 years, you don't think we've come, we need to update some shit?
Oh, yeah. I mean, just 1900 to 1968. 1900, people born in the back of a wagon. 1968, people were on the fucking moon. Like, that span of time, and we still look at this document that was written by slave owners and people who would have a heart attack if they saw a fucking refrigerator, and we're just like, we got to live by this document. It's like, no, we don't. Like, listen, this was the foundation for us to move forward. It's not some sacred text that we have to go back and abide by. We can change it. There are amendments. Like, they exist. And anyone who looks at that and just wants to jerk off on it, but wouldn't dare because you'd hate to smear your seed on top of all of these just beautiful men who wrote this. It's like, how old were these guys when they wrote it anyway? Were they like 20-year-olds? I don't even know. Like, I don't understand the age of these people.
Jesus Christ, that's a great.
I mean, they seem like they were 50s, but they were probably like 26 years old, right? Like, I mean, who knows? But
wrote the Declaration. How old Who wrote the Constitution?
We're fucking idiots. The point being, while Justin looks that up, is just that we are allowed to change. We have changed, and we should absolutely adapt with the times. For someone to take away rights from somebody because
delegates ranged in age from 26 to 81.
There you go, right?
And the gamut.
Listen, you got a 26-year-old in there. Imagine a 26-year-old to an 80. I don't know how many people there were. Let's say there was 20. And you had that range of people. They're like, we're going to write a document for government, right? Guys, it was a draft, okay? It was a rough draft of an idea that people were like, this works. And they moved forward with it, okay? They moved forward with it. Slotty says Thomas Jefferson was 33. Dear God, Justin, what were we doing at 33? Okay?
I don't think I'm allowed to say on the podcast what I was doing at 33.
Listen, to be like, I'm going to write a constitutional guys, we can change this. We are allowed to do this, and we should. These things that they wrote, because anytime everyone wants to make the argument, it's like, yeah, but you got to go back to 1776 and look at the dictionary for what those words meant at that time. I'm like, they had slaves. They had slaves. Okay? I'm not trusting people who had slaves. It was a different mindset, a different time. Should we adjust that for where we are today? Because that makes the most sense. Let's do that. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, long story short, this has been hard. This has been tough. It seems like every day there's a new hit coming. I know there's going to be a ruling on the EPA shortly, which is probably going to be another dumpster fire. It's going to be another like 3 fingers in your asshole. So I don't know what to say. I don't know what the point of bringing this up is. I just want to be like, listen, we've avoided a lot of hot button topics. It's like nobody needs to hear from us on this shit. Neither one of us were like we have opinions, but
I'll say this: over the past 6.5 years, almost 7 years now that we've been doing this, some things have happened.
Yeah,
that we could have easily spent many hours talking about.
Yeah,
and we've avoided them.
Yeah,
traditionally,
this is just one of those things where I'm like, I seriously am concerned for our country. I'm embarrassed for our country. I'm embarrassed at how things are run and what we're doing as humans in this space. Right. And I'm done hoping for the best, I think. I'm done thinking that somehow this is going to peacefully resolve. I don't think it will. I think this is coming to a head. I think it's coming to it'll come to a violent place eventually if this keeps up. Because you can't take away rights like this consistently and continually.
No.
Without there being repercussions. So
I've said it for the past 6 years now, I think, ever since, Trump came in. I'm far from that. I'm not saying I coined this idea, but I've been saying it for a long time as of many, 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 many people, but there is a civil war coming. We are in the throes of the beginning of it, I think, but I truly do think we will have a second civil war in this country, and like an all-out knockdown, drag out. It's gonna come to where we draw front lines, I think, and it terrifies the shit out of me.
I think because
I don't know how you come back from this.
Well, because the problem is that everyone has lost faith in institutions. Some of them legitimately, some of them believe wild conspiracy theories. Right. So because there's lack of faith, people don't trust what they hear, and therefore if something doesn't fit their narrative,
right,
then they're going to lose their minds and they're just going to go to war. And there's too much misinformation and disinformation going around. There's too many people seeking confirmation bias to meet what they want, and unless that stuff is met, they're not going to have it. So it's a dangerous time. I'd like to think, in my mind, anyone who's involved with the insurrection last year needs to be punished. They need to be held accountable. They need to be removed from office.
At every level.
At every level, need to be removed from office. They need to be expunged. They should be expunged from society. They should be, if I find out, if I'm ever doing business with anybody or meet anyone who is involved with that, I will cease relationships with them immediately. Immediately, because that person, as far as I'm concerned, is a traitor. You're a traitor to our country and our company of America. You're a traitor, and you have not because you didn't want to believe the outcome because it didn't suit your narrative. You decided to take up arms against the government, and because there are currently no accountability for that, there's no trust there. Those people are thriving. Those people are thriving on the local level, and until that stuff gets rectified, if that gets rectified, there may be a chance for things to calm down. If that doesn't happen, if this continues, people start getting their rights stripped away, there will be problems. There will be violence, and we'll have to see what comes out the other end. So that's kind of how I feel about it, which, and I look at my daughter and I'm like, I hope you enjoyed the carnival, kiddo. Yeah. Because I did.
Have fun when you can. That's the take the wins where you can get them.
Enjoy it, kiddo.
And, and from a larger level, for whatever it's worth, Doug and I and the Mind Gap brand support women, support those who are able to bear children, whatever gender they identify with. We're there for you. We've got your back, and we will do anything we can. If it's using this platform, if you want to use this platform, it's not small, but we're a mighty crew, or sorry, it is small. It's not large, but small but mighty is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, look, we're in that corner. We're with you. So we just wanted to. We're drawing the line in the sand. Like this is where we stand, and when I think it's important for people to make that.
Yeah, and I think it's important because a lot of this stuff is outside of my purview. I'll be honest. I don't understand how a lot of the government works. I don't.
Oh no, I don't either. I think we made that quite clear when we just didn't know who wrote the Constitution.
Right. I don't know how that stuff works. I don't know the processes. I rely on expert people that have expert opinions to help me figure this out. And so a lot of times I feel lost and I don't know what any of this means. Look, I lean more towards the liberal side of things. And if you are looking for a great source of information that kind of has that bias, I guess is what I'll call it, Pod Save America. It's run by 4 guys that started their own media company called Crooked Media. They used to work under the Obama administration, and they do Pod Save the World, Pod Save America, and a whole bunch of other podcasts where they break down different things. And I listen to that to get a really good idea on these experts of what's going on, and because they've been through a lot of this sort of stuff and how and what's next, what they can do, what you can do, how you can contribute. Because a lot of times I'm like, I don't know what I can do. Like I just don't know what's possible. They give you really good options on things you can do if you want to donate, what you can do if you have time and not money, what you can do to help out with the cause. I recommend Pod Save America. They're great. You can go to votesaveamerica.org. They have all sorts of stuff up. I think they call it like fuck the something fund, so they can basically help with funding different stuff for the Roe v. Wade stuff. So that's my recommendation. If you're feeling lost and overwhelmed, that's my recommendation. Go check out, votesaveamerica.org and, Pod Save America, find that sort of stuff and look for the great ways to contribute with your time. So, okay. Thank you for allowing us to kind of get that off our chest. It feels good. It feels good to talk about that. A lot of times I have opinions about things, but I'm like, no one needs to hear Doug's hot take on this sort of stuff. And this one felt important. So,
and even though he thinks that, he still gives you his hot take.
Yeah, just not necessarily on the air. So, because I'm like, no one needs to know. But that's how I feel about it. But
Doug, do you have a hot take?
I do have a hot take. I feel
like you have a hot take on something that just wrapped up season 1 and hopefully the only season.
I also want to apologize. If you're watching this live, my internet's kind of going in and out right now, so apologies if it's buffering and whatnot. I promise the full episode will be available for you with uninterrupted, so apologies there. Of course this would happen. We joked about it beforehand, and here it is. But on with the show. So, just finished Obi-Wan.
Yes.
Show that came out on Disney Plus. I was lukewarm at best for this show.
You were Luke Skywalker at best on it?
I was Luke Skywalker at best, lukewarm Skywalker. I was like, man, I don't really need to know what happened to Obi-Wan between end of Revenge of the Sith and the beginning of New Hope. Like, I know he was hanging out in Tatooine watching Luke. I'm sure there were some adventures. Don't really care what they were.
Well, I think I think this is a perfect example. I don't know if we could, in recent memory, come up with a more perfect example to illustrate what we've said for a while about prequels. And you've said it for a long time, and you finally got me on board with it. But and here's spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched it. Just know that, right?
Cover your ears.
Cover your ears, or hit that 30-second forward button.
Several times, because we're going to be talking about it.
Yeah. But who was the Inquisitor that kind of turned good at the end, or turned
Reva?
neutral at the end? Reva. So when Reva was standing over Luke with her lightsaber drawn, and I think this is one of the most prime examples in this series. She was standing over Luke with her lightsaber drawn, and she was going to strike him down because she needed to wipe out all Force-sensitive people, yada, yada, yada. And they built this giant moment up, and it cut to black, slow fade in at dusk when they're looking for Luke, and she comes walking through the sands of Tatooine with this limp body in her arms, and she lays Luke down, and Owen and Uncle Ben and Kenobi, they're like, oh my God, is he dead? There was less than zero emotion on my side. I'm like, He's not dead. Like, there was no stakes throughout the entirety of the show. Mm-hmm. Did not at one point feel worried, excited. It was just a big old bunch of neutral.
Yeah, that's the
problem with sequels.
Well, that was an perfect summary of how I felt about the show, because let's name off some of the characters, okay? Obi-Wan.
I can't.
Obi-Wan.
Darth Vader.
Leia. Luke.
Right.
Owen's lady. Ben. I forget her name. Yeah. I mean, I said Obi-Wan, so, there you go.
Wait, no. Oh, you are right. No, Ben is, I thought it was Uncle Ben. It's Uncle Owen. Uncle Ben is the rice. Yeah. Got it. Yeah.
So there are 6 people right there, right?
Yep. Qui-Gon.
There's 6 people. I would argue those are maybe 6 of the main characters of the show.
Mm-hmm. Stormtrooper 1.
Stormtrooper 2. So there's and those characters are focused on heavily.
Yeah.
And so in
fact, one of them has their name in the title of the show.
Right. So when Leia is kidnapped, I'm not worried about whether or not she's going to live.
Nope.
When Luke, like you said, that's a perfect scene. I'm like, he's fine.
Yep.
When Darth Vader and Obi-Wan fight the first time, and then the second time, I'm like, well, they're both going to be okay.
Yep. Now I'll say this: the first 3 quarters, that second fight scene they had, where Obi-Wan fully remembered or realized his potential, the first 3 quarters of that fight scene were fantastic. Because that's the fight scene that I've been waiting for between Vader and Obi-Wan. I'm like, that's cool. We at least get to see these 2 Force powerhouses go against each other. Visually, it was great. And then after the first 3 quarters, I was like, cool. We all know how this is going to end in some sort of a draw. We can be done. We saw the cool visuals. This satisfies it. Let's just fade to black. Mm-hmm. We don't need to see the rest of it.
Well, that's the thing is, like, had this been told in sequential order, I'd feel differently about it, right?
Sure,
like if we finish Return of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith, and then we get this, it's like, oh shit! Like, I feel like there's pure Star Wars fans out there that really enjoy this. I'm not trying to take anything away from you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I think Jamie Jirac said that this was like perfect. She loves Revenge of the Sith, and this was like a nice compliment to that. I'm like, hey, more power to you. That's great. I am no way trying to take away from your enjoyment of that stuff. For me, this has always been my problem with this sort of stuff is we know how this is going to end. Right. There are no surprises for me. Oh no, this ancillary character died and she sacrificed herself using a thermonuclear detonator. Okay. Whoop-de-doo.
Right.
Oh no, Alderaan's okay. Oh no, Leia's dad's gonna live. Like there's no tension. There's no stress for me. Is it kind of cool, I guess, to see a little bit more of what? Oh, you know what? Obi-Wan was doing exactly what I thought he was doing, jerking off into the desert. Like that's, the guy was just whatever.
Feed those sandworms.
Got to feed those sandworms, man. Like I just watched it going like, huh, okay. And I want to pose this, and you may not be the person to answer this, but hey, to the people that responded to my bitchy Star Wars short, thank you for being kind. I was being a dick and you were cool about it. But let me ask this. If someone can prove me wrong in this, I'm open to it, all right? I found it weird that Obi-Wan and Leia had this really cool adventure, right? But when you go to A New Hope, when Leia is asking for Obi-Wan, right? She's like, Obi-Wan, you served my father in the Clone Wars. It seemed as if she doesn't know who he is. Her message, and I guess she doesn't meet up with Obi-Wan in A New Hope because Obi-Wan separates from Luke and everyone else to turn off the tractor beam and all sorts of stuff like that. There is a part where Luke saves her and says Obi-Wan's here, and she's like, he's here. I don't know. I got the vibe from A New Hope that Leia doesn't really know Obi-Wan that well. And and again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. By all means, let's have a discussion. Leave a comment. Shoot us a message. Let us know. I got the feeling it was more like, hey, my dad gave me your card when everything went tits up, so I'm calling you now. You know my dad? You served him in the Clone Wars? We got a problem. Can you help me? You're kind of my only hope here. Like, can you help me out?
Let me ask you this. How old was Leia supposed to be in this series? Was she 7, 10, 4?
How old is Princess
1? I don't know, kids.
Leia in Obi-Wan? Tell me, 10 years old.
10 years old. Okay. It's on the cusp, but do you remember a lot of your parents' friends from when you were 10 years old? What's going on? I don't like the face. Did you click on Rule 34? Because you should not have.
I think if this is correct, Princess... Wait, hold on a second here.
Princess Leia was a clone?
No, I was like, how old?
Early onset dementia.
Well, it says she was 16 years old, but I don't know if that's accurate in A New Hope.
In this show?
In A New Hope.
Oh, in A New... Yeah, I think they were... I do think they were meant to be younger. I definitely think they were meant to be like Luke was definitely like a pestilent teenager.
Yeah. Was it years after episode 4? Birth date? What the fuck? So she was between 16 and 19 years old. All right, episode 4. She was okay. So this site says she was 19. She's somewhere between 16 and 19 years old. I'm sorry. When you go on your argument is, would she remember since she was 10? Is that your argument? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, when you go visit your distant cousins up at the lake for a weekend, are you going to remember them? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. When you get kidnapped and you get saved by a fucking space wizard with a lightsaber sword and...
Doug, could one not argue that being taken up to a family vacation is very akin to kidnapping when you're that age?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, probably. It's against your will.
Or let me put it this way, maybe. You grow up at 10 years old, you grow up with droids and space travel and aliens. You're in that world. Is a wizard that really hard to wrap your head around?
Yeah, in a world where all the wizards have been murdered by the Empire.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, she would know. Obi-Wan.
Remember.
They had a huge bond. He saved her life. He came back to save her. Like she was like, he will come for me. Like he's...
Yeah, but kids are stupid.
The kids are dumb.
Remember,
I would argue that is the event that put her on the track to become a politician and a leader. Like that whole event was a catalyst for her.
Maybe the thing is though, maybe her message in R2-D2 was encoded.
Wait, hold on. How old is Obi-Wan in Obi-Wan?
He's like in his 50s, I think, right?
Because if this is a 6 to 9 years difference, Obi-Wan ages terribly in that amount of time. Is time different on Tatooine than in Alderaan? Because he becomes a severely old man in that amount of time.
Tatooine is a rugged planet.
Hey, man, it's the outer rim.
You're sand blowing, right? Like there's a lot. It's a rough planet to live on. She's a princess. She's got creams and ointments, and she's got skincare products. She's taken care of.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying.
That math is not adding up. I'm sure someone will be like, well, actually, technically speaking. And that's fine. And to those people, great. Please give me the information.
Maybe her message in R2-D2, maybe she was encoding it. Maybe she was trying to put some more distance, playing the role a little bit. Because in case it got intercepted.
I mean, the message is the same.
She wanted it to look like she didn't know him that well.
She calls him Obi-Wan Kenobi. She says her father helped her. I mean, she basically is like, help me and save these droids. The Empire's after us. She's like, better not tell him that we went on that adventure when I was 10.
It's almost like this leg of the story wasn't written back in 1970, whatever.
I think you're right, which is why they probably shouldn't tell the story. I mean, that's my thing. I also saw
retcon, baby.
I also saw someone post like, oh man, there's so many great stories about Padawan, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon Jinn. They should do a whole series on that. I'm like, no. I don't want to see the adventures of young Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn. I don't fucking care. Those are side adventures. Can we just get out of this fucking timeline and do anything else? Anything else? I would love to see. For a long time. I would love to see when the Jedi were first formed, because you talk about some of the old lore with when the lightsabers still had like tubes on them and they were on packs. Like, set it in some sort of a Game of Thronesian style, old medieval, but they've got lightsaber. Like, how cool would a period piece like that be? I think that'd be wild. That's why I like that anime series with it. It was like, hey, this isn't fucking Skywalkers, you know?
Right.
This is brand new material. Let's do that. I'm all for that. I know they have a series coming out that's based on the Old Republic. Great. Let's go see what that's about. I'm thrilled with that. Jared, I'm going to have to agree to disagree with you, buddy. The story is good. The story is fine. It's fine. But you know what, Jared? Let me walk that back. The story is good if you watch it in a particular order. If you were to watch this story as it's linearly told, it's probably a pretty fucking cool story. But if you are me and you started with A New Hope, watched the original trilogy, then watched the prequels, then watched the sequel trilogy, and Obi-Wan show doesn't do much for you. Because it's like, I know what happens. There's no tension whatsoever. The 6 characters that we named off the top of our head are going to live. There's not going to be any problems. You know, no one's going to die. We're going to be okay. Also, I'm sorry, you go ahead, then I'll add my final little note on that.
No, go ahead and put the period.
Well, it's going to be like, this is more of a nitpicky thing. I feel like in this universe, people, for as bad as they are and ruthless as they can be, they let people live a lot.
Fair.
Like, you know, Obi-Wan, I understand why he didn't kill Anakin, but also is pretty dick to be like, hey, I cut off your legs and one of your arm. I'll just leave you by this lava. All right, see ya. I'll let you burn to death. I won't give you the honorable death and kill you. Okay, whatever. I feel like that's worse than just killing him. Second, it's like when Reva, you know, like Vader just lets her live. He's just like, all right, see you later, kiddo. It's like, what? You're just gonna let her live? What are we doing?
It was very off-putting to hear James Earl Jones say kiddo too.
Right?
Yeah.
He's like, get out of here, bitch. And just like walks away. Yeah.
To Jared's point, I will say that if as its own standalone thing, yes, I think the story arc of this story itself was compelling. It was good. It was a well-told, visually pleasing story. I think the Star Wars, all the Star Wars series, TV series, suffer from CG ceiling. They all seem to hit the ceiling somewhere. It was egregious in Boba Fett. It was way better in this one. Still definitely some issues. I think Mandalorian has taken the cake for probably best overall series from all different standpoints. But from originality to CG to yada, 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 yada. But I think from a standalone, if you compartmentalize this one, it in and of itself as a 6-part series was very good. I agree with that. That being said, you cannot divorce yourself from the knowledge that you have watching them in the order that we've watched them. And thus you can't get away from it falling into prequels are very hard to do because like you can't force yourself to be worried about the stakes. You can enjoy the story for what it is, but there's no tension in the story, period. And I think it's a very, very hard order. It's a tall order to fill.
I agree with you. Tall. I thought it was filmed really well. I thought the acting was fine. The fight with Vader and Obi-Wan was fine, but for me, the biggest issue is there's just no tension. I know the outcomes of all these things. I'm very much a person that I can't know the full story arc here because it's just, I'm like, great, they're fighting because it seems to me almost just gratuitous at that point. It feels like people are like, well, people were wondering what it'd be like if Obi-Wan and Vader fought after Revenge of the Sith. Why don't we do that? It almost feels like a Michael Bay, like, it's really cool. Check out this cool explosion. What if we made a movie around this explosion? Let's do that. It's like, what would be really cool? What's young Leia like? What's young Luke like? Not much. He's also jerking off in the desert. But,
yeah.
So I appreciate what they're trying to do. But for me personally, it was a nothing show. I didn't hate it, but I watched it being like, I was entertained by it, but it started and ended there. And Jared, you're saying we're overthinking it. Have you ever listened to our show before? We overthink everything. That's the premise of this show. Also, I take issue with me overthinking it because I've watched the entire show and this is a small chapter that comes before everything that I know about the show. I'm overthinking it. I'm sorry, sir. I know how this show ends. Obi-Wan lives, Darth Vader lives, Luke lives, Leia lives, Alderaan's okay. So when we see Obi-Wan and they're like, oh no, they kidnapped Leia, I know what's going to happen. They're going to be fine. If everything that exists in this, aside from being like, oh, let's watch this for the visuals, evaporates. There's nothing for me in the show.
I will say I was very worried about Flea's character, and we never saw him die.
That's true.
So I'm crossing my fingers that we see him again.
I hope so. Fingers crossed. And what about Kumail Nanjiani? The fake Jedi. Yes. What's going on with him?
He's now this is where I'm seeing an Eternals crossover.
I love Tint. He's like, Alderaan's okay for now. Exactly, for now. Guess what? Yeah. Darth Vader's okay for now.
Yeah.
Luke's okay for now.
For now. Yeah. But I think that'd be amazing if we could if Kumail was the one who led the Star Wars Marvel crossover. That would be fucking amazing.
I love Kumail. I love seeing him.
I'd be down for it.
Yeah, I'm like, cool, let's do it. So overall, the show was fine. It was fine. I'm not mad that I watched it.
Yeah.
But I also was like, well, and there was character stuff, and we get to have stories branch off from it. What stories, Jared? What stories?
Flee, Doug, I'm telling you, flee.
What stories are we going to have? We're going to have the story of Obi-Wan buying cheap real estate in Tatooine. Are we going to have Luke really trying to...
He didn't buy shit. He squatted.
Are we going to have Luke really mastering moisture farming during his teen years? Are we going to really get into...
Was moisture farming just code for jerking off?
Yeah, exactly. How do you think they get all the moisture?
That blue milk.
Right, yeah, blue milk. Got to come from somewhere. Or are we gonna see how Leia becomes a politician as she goes through all this sort of stuff? Listen, if you want to see those stories,
see Leia attending pre-law classes.
Pre-law, right? She's just, you see her going through, necessary, like what necessary corruption exists in politics, how to deal with that. It turns into House of Cards, but with Star Wars,
Yeah, the next Disney Plus series is called Alderaan U, and it's a preteen. It's very much like a CW show.
Yeah. Listen, there are gaps, Jared, that don't need to be filled. Okay, there's a story of the third sister, the fake Jedi that you mentioned, Ice Cube's son. We don't need to know about these characters, Jared. We don't. They can be saved for comics. I don't personally need a show. Let's see how Palps gets it on and has a kid, I guess. Right? I mean, you're right, Tint.
Oh, man.
That's a thing. He procreates. Jared, I fucking love you, man. They're adding characters that branch off away from the Skywalkers. Thank God. And you know what? How about this, Jared? Let's just focus on the Old Republic show. Let's just do that. I think you and I can agree. We can start fresh there. Anything within this Skywalker saga timeline, I'm over it, man. I'm over it. I don't need any side quests or anything. I know how it turns out. I'm good.
I do like how worked up you're getting about this. After last week, you did a rant about Star Wars fans and how measured their responses are.
Yeah, that was sarcasm, Justin. My daughter would have, you know what my daughter would have said? She would be like, that's sarcasm. I'm like, you're right, child. Thank you. She can call that out. Guess what, gang? It's time for our new segment. It's back. It's back. It's back again.
And still without a theme song. One day we'll get there.
One day we'll get there. Actually, I'm going to send you a couple of links to get your juices flowing, Justin.
All right. You gonna help me moisture farm?
I'll get your moisture farm all moistured up. So we're going to be doing another segment of Anime Out of Context. If you're not familiar with what this is, I cook up a scene from an anime, and Justin has never seen. I don't think Justin's seen any anime. And so what I do is I pull this scene out of context, and I type it up, and I hand it to Justin, and we read it cold. And I assign Justin a character. And I tell him, this is what we're doing. I give him extremely minimal context, and we just go with it. So the idea is to have Justin try to figure out what the fuck is going on. So if you would like to contribute to this, all you got to do is either send us a message on our social media. You can email us, mindgappodcast@gmail.com. You can join our Discord and head down to the Anime Out of Context channel and post yourself a link to a document with a script. Now, here's what we ask. We ask that you give the name of the anime, the episode, and you have to type it out. You have to type out the script. Sorry, just got to do it. And then just assign who's going to be reading what. I would love to get a taste of my own medicine from you, chopping up a little piece and being like, here you go, Doug. Here's some anime you've never seen. Good luck.
So about me?
No, I'm just the royal you. So
okay.
Justin's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
You looked right down the barrel of the camera, and I was just like, I forgot we were streaming. And
That's
I'm
right.
like,
you forgot there's audience here?
Yeah.
So, all right. So, this week, this comes from, oops, I forgot. I didn't put the name of the one. All right. So, this comes from the show One Punch Man. This is from season 1, episode 1, called The Strongest Man. Justin, I have highlighted your characters, I should say, in the blue, so you will be reading those. Okay.
Is it Crabalante?
It's Crablante.
I'm saying Crabalante.
You do whatever you want. All right.
All right.
Slotty says, I finally picked a scene. I'm working on transcription. You're awesome, Slotty. All right. Justin, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, no. Yes was premature. Hold on. I just want to see how far. Okay. So just over 4 pages. And your character's name is?
It doesn't matter. You're not going to be saying my name.
Got it.
All right.
Okay. But you usually tell me, you give me something with these characters. Like they are cocky. They are.
Okay.
For the first time.
Your character.
Usually give me something that I can base it around.
Yes. No, that's fair. That's fair. Your character is terrorizing humans.
Terrorizing humans. Okay.
Yes. And you, as you read your lines, you'll get an idea as to why you're terrorizing humans. We live in a universe where there are a lot of monsters, okay? And you're playing one of those monsters. All right. You're also playing another character at some point. So
I was gonna say, is Big Chin Kid?
Yes, you'll be playing Big Chin Kid as well.
Is he a monster?
No, not technically, but you'll see. You'll get a lot from the stage directions here. So
oh boy.
Here we go.
Here we go.
A man and a woman sprint down a street screaming in terror as a large creature lumbers forward. It has the torso of a large red crab, pinchers and all. Its bottom half is that of a man wearing tighty-whities. It clucks arrogantly as it approaches a man in a business suit holding a briefcase.
Huh. You sure you don't want to run away?
The businessman sighs apathetically.
I bet you're a newly employed businessman already tired of work. I ate too much crab and transformed into this Crabalante. Why aren't you running? You've got a death wish. Is that it?
Well, not quite. I'm no businessman. I'm unemployed. Right now, I'm looking for a job. I had another interview today and got rejected royally. I could care less about anything. So, I'm in no mood to run just because the mighty Crablante has appeared. So, what'll happen if I don't run? Crablante's eyes grow big and he shows a sinister smile.
Your eyes are lifeless, just like mine. From one set of lifeless eyes to another, I'll let you go. Besides, right now I'm hunting different prey. A big-chinned brat. And when I find him, I'm gonna rip his arms off.
Saitama and Crablante walk their separate ways. Saitama walks by a playground and sees a young boy with a chin that either looks like a thick with 3 C's ass or at least C-cup breasts for a chin. He is kicking a ball around. Saitama stares.
What are you looking at?
Internally, Saitama says, a big chin brat. If he's caught, he's dead. Hey, kid, were you messing around with a big crab monster?
Such a direct question.
Answer the question!
Huh? He was asleep in the park, so I drew some nipples on him with my marker.
Internally, it's definitely him. He has no idea what he's done. What do I do? I could still help, but man, this kid isn't cute at all. It's none of my business. I should just walk away, right? I mean, who really cares?
I found you!
Crablante grins sadistically and thrusts his pinchers at the big chin kid. Saitama dives and pushes the boy out of the way at the last minute. Internally, Saitama says, what the hell am I doing?
Huh?
Kid, he's after you. Get out of here. Don't worry about me. Just go.
But my soccer ball.
Your ball?
Hey, what's the big idea? Don't tell me you're gonna protect that stinking brat.
Come on. You're going to kill him over some harmless prank? Think about this.
I've already mutilated lots of people. Whoever makes fun of the way I look pays the price. No exceptions. By the way, that brat drew nipples on my body with a permanent marker. Look at these claws. I can't even use a towel to wipe it off. Get in my way, and I'll make sure you never go job hunting again.
There's a brief moment of tension as Saitama and Crablante stare at each other. Saitama suddenly starts to laugh uncontrollably. It just came to me. You look exactly like a villain from this anime I used to watch. Crablante swings his giant claw, striking Saitama, sending him high in the air before he crashes into a nearby swing set. Crablante moves close to Big Chin Kid and towers over him.
Die!
Big Chin Kid cries out in fear. Suddenly, a rock hits Crablante in the side of his face. Saitama is alive! He stumbles forward. Oh, hold it right there. In this age of declining birth rates, I can't just let you kill a kid. You know what? When I was a little boy, I wanted to be a hero, not a businessman. But a hero could send rotten villains like you flying with one punch. Screw looking for a job! Bring it on! Saitama removes his jacket and undoes his tie before balling up his fists. Crablante quickly lands 2 powerful swipes at Saitama, knocking him to the ground.
Some hero you are. Some hero you are. You don't stand a chance against me. Your life ends now.
Crablante swipes at Saitama, who dodges and pushes off Crablante's arm and wraps his tie around Crablante's eye. As Saitama lands, he pulls hard on his tie, ripping out Crablante's eye. The creature's organs begin pouring. Did you just say ow? The creature's organs begin pouring out of the eye socket, and it falls down to the ground dead. The Big Chin Kid stares on, dumbfounded. Cut to Saitama standing in a grocery store, staring at chopped... typo. I put chopped crab. It should be crab. Chopped crab in a plastic sealed container. He is bald and is wearing a yellow superhero suit with red gloves and a white cape. He stares off as if visiting a distant memory. Internally, has it really been 3 years since then? After that day, I trained so hard I went bald. I became so powerful, no one could beat me. I'm the hero I dreamed of becoming. So what is this? What's wrong? Why does my heart feel so empty? And scene. For the record, that's also why I'm bald. I trained so hard. I went bald.
It's a very real problem.
Honestly, it affects so many people in America. Training too hard.
It affects one out of no one.
So, Justin, what are your thoughts on that scene?
Well, I like the fact that they referenced anime inside an anime show. I thought that was deliciously meta. Just mwah. It seems it just seems like such direct dialogue. Just, I'll bet you're a newly employed businessman already tired of work. I ate too much crab and transformed into this. Like, it's so pointed and specific. Well, your eyes are lifeless, just like mine.
There were some great moments that you caught me. I tried to power through as you were laughing.
Well, thankfully, I don't see you when I've got this in a different tab, so I didn't see a thing you were doing.
I've got you on a couple monitors, so like I can see your reactions as I'm doing this, and I'm like, oh, we gotta stay it. The declining birth rates really got you on that.
That got me really good. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah. So, One Punch Man is actually a satire on anime.
It is?
Yes.
Okay.
It's essentially about a character who can kill all of these bad guys with one punch. He comes up, punches them, and he's super OP. And he's just he's a hero as a hobby. That's his thing. But
he's a software analyst by trade, right?
He's just a guy that, like, obviously he has trouble getting a job. Whatever, but he decided he wanted to be a hero, and he's one of the most powerful heroes, but he looks like a huge dork. He's bald. He's got a really stupid outfit, but he's so powerful. It's just, the first episode's fantastic because you see him like out just doing whatever he's doing, and this creature will just, because this is what happens in anime. These creatures just show up and they have these ridiculous backstories. They're like, ha 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 ha, because of you humans and your disregard for the environment, all of your pollutants have transformed me into the being that I am, and now you will bow before me. And during this monologue, he's just standing there and he goes, huh, and he punches them and they explode. And they die. He's just like, but also at the same time, he's depressed because he's so powerful, nothing can challenge him. So he's like, I thought this was going to be a good fight. And he just sort of like carries on.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah. And Slotty mentions it's specifically a satire of shonen anime, which is, there's a lot of, I don't know all the specifics on that sort of stuff, but there's all these characters that have huge backstories, like that one I told you was like, yeah, the pollutants. He's like, yeah, I just trained every day. I'm a hero for fun. Hero's a hobby. Yeah. Like, what kind of backstory is that? That's what like the villain actually says to him. He's just saying that you got these ridiculous creatures. Like, this guy's like, I ate so much crab, I turned into a half crab. It's just like, right. Okay.
So the insanely direct dialogue, the very on the nose dialogue is on purpose.
Yes. It's also pretty common in anime.
Okay.
It's pretty common. People are like, you're like, well, that is rather direct. Because they also give you clues to what's going on, because a lot of times anime, it just starts. There's not there is some that will give you a lot of backstory, but a lot of time it's like, boom, you're in it, let's go. And then you'll kind of see like some flashbacks and it'll kind of give you some context to what's going on. But like, yeah, this anime starts with this thing attacking people. There's alarms going on. It's like, monster alert, monster alert. It's in city block D. It's like, okay, so we're in a world where these monsters just show up and they send heroes to try and stop them. And what's really going on? You slowly learn more and more as time goes on what's what. But you just see all these like ridiculous creatures and monsters. And this guy just goes, hi-ya, punches them and they just explode. And it's very entertaining.
All right, fair enough.
Well, thank you. Honestly, I gotta say, man, kudos to you. You did a really great job with your voice choice. I thought that was perfect.
Well, thank you.
For both the kid and the crab latte. Well done.
Hey, well, look, sometimes the characters just speak through you. I don't know what to say.
They come to you, and you gotta, you just are, So well done. And thanks for always being a good sport about this. I appreciate you.
I have a blast doing these. Absolutely, have a blast doing them.
Yeah. So
I'm waiting for the day where one of these gets me to watch anime.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not my goal necessarily. My goal.
I know. I just think that'd be a fun fallout from this. Is that I'm like, oh, I'm really into this.
You're like, you know what? Fuck it, I'll give it a try. And then you're like, all right, I gotta admit, Doug, I'm into it.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely a different way of storytelling, and I think I'm compelled by it. I think a lot of Western audiences are compelled because the storytelling is so unique. It's something we're not used to. So people just kind of fall in love with it. So, but there's a lot of weird shit out there too. So, Anyway, thank you for being a good sport, sir. I appreciate you. And I look forward to Jared and Slotty. I look forward to your submissions. I can't wait to be completely blindsided. So, and be like, great, I'm going to wade into an anime I've never heard of and be like, here we go. Should be a lot of fun. Be fun. Yes, it'll be a lot of fun. All right, Justin, what do you have to recommend for this week?
Well, it's not done, but I have thoroughly been enjoying The Boys this season.
Yes.
So I would say if you've, similar to how Doug slept on Stranger Things for like season 3, you did not watch. Right?
I didn't watch 3, yeah.
Yeah. So I would say if you are sleeping on The Boys, pick it up. It is it's a fun show. It's a disgusting show. It pushes the boundaries of taste, but it also has some incredible social commentary baked in. It's just I think it's a really uniquely well done show. So I definitely recommend The Boys on Amazon Prime.
I concur. It's a great show so far. Enjoying season 3. I would recommend Rome on HBO Max. It's a show that ran from 2005 to 2007. I've watched it. I just rewatched it for the 3rd time. Recently. It's such a fun show and surprisingly historically accurate about Julius Caesar and during that time. And it was really, I don't know, man, it's such a great show. They've got great characters. I find the Roman times absolutely fascinating for some reason. I don't know why. But it's so good. And it's so funny because HBO basically said, after season 1, they're like, you get one more season. They were planning on 5 because they're like, listen, man, this is too fucking expensive. When you fast forward ahead to Game of Thrones and the amount of money they fucking spent on that for that sort of shit, you're like, okay, they got fucked. But they still were like, all right, we're still going to tell our story, but we're going to take like the next of the 3 or 4 seasons and condense it into one. And they do a good job with it, a really good job with it. So
that's impressive.
It's excellent. It's really, really well done. So check out Rome on HBO Max. It's excellent. I'm a huge fan. So, and actually the character in Obi-Wan who plays the spy Imperial officer is in Rome. So
there you go.
There you go. Connections.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that being said, gang, thanks so much for hanging out with us. And please follow us on all our social medias at MindGap Podcast. And please do us a solid and share, subscribe on YouTube. We're at 196 subscribers. God damn, we're so close to 200. Just need 4 more. So share us out there with the rest of the world and drop us a comment or engage with us wherever you can. It means the world to us, and honestly, it just helps us grow. So, and that's all we're trying to do. We're just trying to grow. So it means the world to us. So please do all that. Check us out on youtube.com/MindGap Podcast. Live streams Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Central for the podcast. Saturdays, 8 p.m. Central for the video game stream. I will not be doing a video game stream this Saturday, July 2nd. I'll be out of town. But come check us out there. Check out our Discord. And don't forget to check out Justin online as well.
On Instagram and Twitter at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it. And while you're in the online realm, check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcast, all the places where you can find and consume quality podcast. You can find and consume us. And then while you're there, the sharing, the posting, the rating, reviewing, all those things mean the world to us. Specifically the sharing. That goes a very long way. And then keep an eye on all of 2 East 8's social medias and 2east8.com.
Yeah. Thank you all for hanging with us, for listening to us talk about our thoughts and stuff like that. It means the world to us. And thank you just for always hanging out with us. We love you. We appreciate you. It's great to have you all with us. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being here. We appreciate you. We love you. And with that, I want to say, Justin, thank you.
Douglas, thank you.
Chat, thank you.
Listeners, thank you.
And you have a dandy fucking week.
MindGap Podcast.